All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a dynamic that can feel, well, incredibly confusing and just painful. We're going to walk through the unwritten rules of what we're calling the narcissist's playbook, a way to hopefully make sense of what so often feels like total chaos. Does this feel familiar? You know that sinking feeling that you're constantly on the defense, playing a game where the rules are always changing and you can never, ever seem to win? It's a really common feeling in these situations, and believe me, that's not an accident. It's by design.
So to really understand this playbook, you have to start with this one core concept, the utilitarian mindset. What does that mean? It means it's not about shared values, it's not about what's fair, it's about what serves their interests, period. If you can grasp this one single idea, it's like the key that unlocks every other tactic we're about to talk about.
Okay, so how does this utilitarian mindset actually play out in real life? Well, it often starts with what we're calling the emotional heist. This is the part of the playbook where your own feelings, the good ones and the bad ones, become the very weapons that are used against you. Just let that sink in for a second. This isn't just about them being a bit moody or unhappy. It's an active process. According to the playbook, your joy, your happiness, it's not something to be celebrated together. It's something to be taken away, or at the very least, spoiled. And this right here creates an impossible situation, an emotional catch-22. You share good news, that triggers their envy, and you can bet they'll find a way to pop that balloon. But if you share that you're struggling, well, that vulnerability just becomes ammunition they'll store away and use against you later. See, it's a classic no-win scenario. All right, moving on. We've talked about the emotional side, but now we're shifting into the psychological. This next section is the war on reality. This is where the game gets really disorienting because the very idea of what's true and what's not gets twisted to keep them in control. This right here, this is a cornerstone of the whole playbook. We're not just talking about them forgetting or misremembering. This is outright denial. You could have stone-cold proof, texts, pictures, witnesses, and they will look you right in the eye and say, that never happened. It's an incredibly powerful way to make you question your own sanity. Now, if flat-out denial doesn't work, the tactic just shifts. Their behavior gets minimized. It wasn't that bad, or you're just being too sensitive. And at the same time, your totally normal human reaction to that behavior gets blown way out of proportion until your reaction suddenly becomes the main issue. And this locks you into this really predictable, frustrating cycle. Step 1, they do something problematic. Step 2, they get a case of selective amnesia about what they did and focus only on how you reacted. Suddenly, you're the one being told you're wrong, and, get this, you're now somehow expected to apologize and fix the very mess they created. It's wild. It's not enough for them to just lie. That's only half of it. The second, and honestly more important rule, is that you must believe the lie. You're actually required to throw out your own perception of reality and accept theirs instead. That is a profound form of psychological control. So you might be wondering, why all the drama? Why is everything so chaotic? It's not an accident. It's actually the goal. The playbook shows that chaos and your emotional reaction to it are a form of supply for them. And that's exactly why being indifferent or not giving them a reaction can trigger such intense rage. You're basically cutting them off from their fuel source. Okay, this all brings us to our third section, a self-serving world. We've seen what they do, we've seen the tactics, but now let's try to get into the internal logic, the why behind all of it. I just love this phrase, a Mercury-like mind. It just captures the essence of it so perfectly, right? It's fluid, it's slippery, it has no fixed shape. There is no solid moral center that you can appeal to. And this just expands on that whole Mercury-like idea. Things like principles, ethics, even deeply held religious beliefs, they're not a foundation for how they behave. They're more like costumes, They wear them when it's convenient, and they take them right off when it's not. Their values change based on whatever serves their interests in that exact moment. Pay attention because this slide right here is basically the operating system for the whole playbook. It's pure utilitarianism. A concept like right or wrong is completely irrelevant. The only question that matters is, does this serve me? And if the answer is yes, then any action is justified in their mind. There is no flaw, there is no wrong, as long as their needs are being met. So when you put all of these pieces together, it all leads to one really inevitable conclusion. Our final section, the unwinnable game. Once you understand the rules we've just laid out, you really start to see the whole situation for what it truly is.
And this leads us to the hard truth at the very center of this playbook. All that energy, all the effort, the compromises you make, all the times you try to be better or just be enough, it's all ultimately destined to fail.
And here's why. It's not about you. It's not that you're not trying hard enough or that you haven't found the right words. The goalpost itself is an illusion. Pleasing them is, by its very nature, an unreachable goal. It's designed that way.
So we'll leave you with this final thought. Based on everything in this playbook, the emotional heist, the war on reality, the purely self-serving logic, if a game is fundamentally designed for you to lose, what does it truly mean to keep playing?